In 2020, Ms. Irene Khan, UN Special Rapporteur on the Promotion and Protection of the Right to Freedom of Opinion and Expression, stated, from rape, sexual assault, death and rape threats, and sexual harassment to trolling, gendered hate speech, and disinformation, women journalists are subjected to threats and attacks in the course of their work. The abuse is inescapable and ubiquitous across the continuum of real and virtual worlds. Online hate speech, a menace that has been well documented across the world, leading to new forms of online gender based violence. Does the onslaught of hateful, insightful material point towards an inherent flaw in technology? Or is it just the misuse of technology? We'll discuss in today's episode of the Digital Cauldron. I'm Eamon Malik.
I'm Sadaf Khan, and today we'll discuss how social media business often becomes a business of hate. So, Eamon, let's zoom out a little today.
All right.
We have been talking about Pakistan. Today, we'll start within some examples outside Pakistan.
Right.
Now, in 2018, the UN sent a fact-finding mission to Myanmar to investigate the genocide of the Rohingya Muslims. And one of the factors and one of the most alarming things that the fact-finding report says is that the hatred was primarily instigated through Facebook. There were dozens of Facebook accounts creating false information, inciting violence against Rohingyas and other ethnic communities. And the UN report actually calls Facebook a beast within that context. So we are literally talking about genocide instigated through a social media platforms.
Yeah.
And you know about India.
Yeah. So, the WhatsApp lynchings that happened because of rumors that was spread through WhatsApp, it led to mass violence and
so dozens of killings in India, hatred spread through WhatsApp. In Ethiopia, there is a civil war situation, already a violent, volatile situation, and Facebook has been accused of systematically instigating hatred against ethnic minorities. And this accusation doesn't come from anybody else but Frances Hudson, who is Facebook whistleblower. She used to work with Facebook. So these,
these are just Facebook.
These examples are just Facebook, but the hatred, unfortunately, is not limited to one single platform. In Pakistan, for example, Twitter is the primary platform on which really hateful, structured, engineered hateful campaigns have been rolled out against journalists, against activists. A couple of years back, around nearly 100 women journalists got together, released a statement that documented in detail the amount of sexual violence, the amount of sexual threats that they face on Facebook because they're vocal women, on Twitter, because they're vocal on Twitter. Similarly, hate campaigns against women's activists. So it's not just women journalists, but women rights activists. Anybody who talks about gender becomes a target of hate through Twitter. And hate campaigns against organizers of Aurat March, for example, included morph pictures, morph videos that accuse them of blasphemy. And in Pakistan, blasphemy is not just a charge that can lead to capital punishment. It actually instigates, mob violence. It puts their lives at risk. And yet here we are with a platform on which these really structured, obviously flawed, fraudulent morph videos are circulating.
Is there any way that we can counter this?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's a very complex issue. One of the key things about the internet is anonymity. So it's difficult to, get to the instigators. But also, I think most importantly, social media platforms have developed in such a way that they kind of bank upon negative sentiment.
Right.
Now, in Facebook papers, the whole revolution was based on the fact that Facebook was promoting content that instigated a violent reaction, an angry reaction, any kind of violent reaction, any kind of negative reaction. So the algorithms and the design of the technology is built in such a way that it promotes hate rather than countering it. Additionally, there are hundreds and thousands of languages across the world, and these are global platforms. So to create effective mechanisms that deal and identify with hate in all these languages, that's difficult. I think the solution is not just looking at one thing or other, We need
It's very big picture.
yeah, it's a very integrated approach that
Yeah.
one has to take. Corporate accountability, of course, all the examples that we have given deal with the lack of corporate accountability, but also local solutions, community-based solutions, and an effort to kind of promote a more positive ethos in the internet. I think that these are key in solutions that need to be integrated together to counter hate in any way.
As with all things in the virtual space, completely eradicating hate speech will not be possible. Across the world, feminist digital rights advocates are looking into solutions to counter hate speech and create community and care based solutions for targets of hate speech. How has hate speech affected your digital experience? How have you dealt with it? Let us know and stay tuned to the Digital Cauldron and learn which other challenges are brewing in cyberspace.